Hey, what's up everybody, this is Ostric501 and today I want to go over all the pre-release screenshots we've been getting from the developers at Atlas. Now, these are screenshots they've been posting on like Twitter and Steam and on their Discord and stuff like that, where it gives us an image or a screenshot of in-game. I'm pretty sure most of the stuff is actually of in-game stuff going on. It doesn't seem to be rendered or cinematic pictures. And it gives us basically a description of the image. And we're seeing some new stuff that we haven't seen before in these, and with the descriptions I think some of them might be telling us about features that we don't currently know about. So we're going to go on Twitter to go over basically the descriptions of them. And this first one is Freeport public execution. An officer in a horse-drawn carriage turns away from a grisly public execution in a Freeport. The resulting uniquely identifiable player skulls can be used to trade for bounties on them. So basically what I'm thinking that this description of this image is saying is that killing players, you'll be able to get their bounties or their basically their skulls, which kind of sounds like it's going to be kind of the equivalent of the implants on Ark, which you get when you kill anybody or when anybody dies, they have their implants on their body. It sounds like this is kind of what that's going to be. Except there's going to be actually a system to do something with these. So players or maybe even NPCs are going to be able to have bounties that you kill them and get their skull, and then you turn in maybe quests or to vendors or to whatever to get bounties off of players, which is a really cool feature that they haven't really told us about. Besides, in this image does mention it. So it seems like this will be a feature and a system in the game, which could definitely be a really good endgame PvP system, especially if, say, if a player has killed a bunch of other players, then it gets a bounty put on them. So then other players that maybe are as geared as that player will go hunt them down to kill them, which is just really cool and a good way to start or to keep having active PvP going, especially in the open world instead of just like base raiding and stuff like that. And in the image, we do see a few things in the image. So it does show this is the biggest like horse-drawn carriage we have seen, and there is a horse in front of it. I can't tell if there is another horse here. I can't really tell. I don't think there is, but it does show that there are bigger horse-drawn carriages with people being able to be inside of them, which is pretty cool. So it's basically kind of like just a small building that you can carry with different mounts, which is pretty cool. The horse does look a bit different. It does look to be a brand new model. So also in the Discord, which there is an Atlas Discord, which has been super active, by the way, even having devs and different stuff like that, people that actually know about the game. Jet, the community manager is always typing in there and stuff. One of the developers, the guy who actually made the center map, is one of the main I guess level design for Atlas, and he did say that a lot of the Ark assets in the trailers were placeholders and that most of them or all of them have been remodeled. So basically, as you saw in the leak trailer, there was a Megalodon that was the same as an Ark, but in the official trailer it was remodeled as a hammerhead shark. So it seems that pretty much most of the Ark assets, I think he even said like the stone walls that were in both the trailers, have been redone so they look different, so they're not just pulled Ark assets, which is really good news to hear, because even if it's not the worst thing to be pulling assets from Ark, still just having a change of scenery and a change of looks in the game definitely goes a long way with making it feel like a brand new experience, even though it's still built pretty much on the same Ark architecture from what we can see. Now also, right here there is this full blacked out armor this guy's wearing that looks to be some higher tier of armor. Now this guy seems a bit shorter, so I'm thinking this is actually a character with this armor on. Maybe they just have short, you know, different NPC models, which would definitely add some variation to him. But I'm thinking this is a player that painted their armor fully black and just made their character really small, which you can make him smaller in Ark pretty much. But it seems to be really cool looking armor, even though it's kind of texturized here. Actually, maybe I can put a sharpen on it. to see if it looks a little better. You can see it a little bit better, but also a thing about this is the blacks on this armor seem to be much deeper than the blacks on Ark. So if you ever did anything like you can color and paint and color your dinos and color your saddles and stuff like that in Ark and your armor, blacks were never like dark blacks like you would see. Like if you've ever seen like a really cheap monitor versus like a pretty expensive really good quality monitor, the blacks in them are really really different. You can tell very easily the blacks, and this looks to be an actual dark deep black that actually colors the armor like fully black, which does look pretty cool. And beside that, it just seems to be a town. The skeleton, I don't know why you'd be hanging a skeleton unless that body's been sitting there to turn into a skeleton. I'm actually wondering if that's going to happen in this game. So if you've ever played something like WoW, once players die and then respawn, their body that was on the ground turns into just a skeleton. I'm wondering if in this game bodies will turn into skeletons on the ground, which could be pretty cool, or if this is just like a, you know, like a setup thing in a town that has a skeleton on it. But on to image 2. Now image 2 right here, a well-geared crew engages soldiers of the army of the damned deep in a pirate's cave on their way to valuable golden age artifacts of power. So I'm pretty sure golden age stuff, they do have some lore that I'm not exactly remembering at the bottom of the Steam page. I'm pretty sure the golden age is supposed to be like a time before we're actually playing in game, so it's like maybe was better technology or something like that. But in the image, as you can see, these are supposed to be 2 players right here. Actually, let me do selection tool so I'm not constantly zooming in. So right here, these are 2 players right here. Right here, these are 2 players. And these are, I'm assuming, what our Army of the Damned, which look pretty cool. These seem to be NPCs that you're fighting. There's also a dude up here that I'm not 100% certain if they are a player or not, because they do have a torch. But the Army of the Damned don't seem to be players, because like right down here you can see they're skeletal. At the top they're not fully skeletal, but like their feet are skeletal and stuff like that. They do have really cool cutlasses that are like look to be enchanted blades, so hopefully stuff like this will be enchants you'll be able to have on your weapons and stuff that have really cool effects like that, because it looks really good here, this pink flame that's going on in their cutlasses. And this dude back here looks to be maybe a harder variation, or maybe a boss in here, because they look to be super armored. This reminds me of Daedric armor from Elder Scrolls Oblivion, just like really big heavy armor. Then they have the green running through them, so it looks pretty cool. These seem to be an NPC faction that's maybe like one of the end game PvE or main PvE factions you're fighting against in the game. I'm assuming because of their colors that they're also who are on the like green and red boats that you see, like the damned ships almost that you see in the trailer and stuff like that. So on to the third image, we have, having traveled to an exotic island filled with ancient golden age runes, golden age stuff again, a veteran pathfinder blasts a blunderbuss into a scaly hide of a Gorgon. So this is pretty cool as well, because Gorgons are a pretty cool mythological creature. And I'm pretty sure they're part snake, like basically humanoid snake things, and you can actually see its tail right here. They're kind of, I think they're kind of supposed to be, or if you can think of something like Medusa, they're kind of like that, just less specific of a thing. And then in this image, it basically shows like an island. Most likely there'll be loot in here or something. There's this Gorgon right here that's being shot by a blunderbuss, which we've kind of already seen. There's not too much to this besides the Gorgon, but we do get to see some stuff on the graphics, because this gun, the blunderbuss right here, looks really good. Not zoomed in that far, it doesn't, but it looks really good, and it looks to be a really big upgrade, and definitely some changes to how the art graphics were. The trees here seem to be completely new trees with much better graphic quality than Arc had, even if you're on max settings. You see the hands here. Overall, just everything graphics wise looks much better. Then down here, it's seeming that this is another player, just the tip of their sword in the image, but it looks to be that this sword is also on fire, so that like those enchants I was talking about seem to be much much more viable, or probably we're definitely getting them in the game. The sword does, I can't tell if the sword looks broken or not, or if this is just a flame coming through it. I think it's just a flame, but that does show us that there might actually be these bunch of different enchants for your weapons, which is pretty dang cool, especially since it's a big MMO. Having different enchants with different effects on them definitely just adds more of that MMO feel into the game. Next, we have Captain's Log number 1, launch day released. Well, this is just also the launch day release stuff. Deep within an uncharted jungle, a lone adventurer hang climbs across a vast chasm on their way to lost treasure, while a wild bear and exotic bird roam far below. So this one does show something that's been kind of a contentious point, I guess. Some people, so these are basically the hooks that they added in Arc. What is the Arc expansion before Extinction? I can't even remember right now, but they added these hooks that you could hook up on walls and basically climb on walls with them. This is the main way you're able to mesh an Arc. So a lot of people are hoping, and well, a lot of people are thinking that meshing might be in the game. I'm completely hoping the meshing is not in this game, that they have fixed that, even though they have these like hang things that they had in Arc. Now I can't actually tell if these are the same versions that were in Arc. Can't actually tell at all because you can barely see what they're even holding on to, but hopefully there is no meshing. And the stuff they're talking about below, you can see the bird. This was an image, I think, in the leaked trailer. Basically this side right here, the image was cut off here in the middle and was down more, and you could see basically a bear. I'm wondering if it shows right here. No, but you could see a bear down here, and it looked to be the same model as the bear in Arc. But since all the models supposedly have been completely changed from their Arc assets, hopefully bears will be redone and look really cool. I'm not the biggest fan of how the bears look in Arc. I mean, they're okay, but hopefully they're being completely remade to look a lot better. So that's pretty much all that we see in this image. I actually went over this image in the leaked trailer analysis if you guys want to check that out, if you want to see the image more. That's basically, I went over these houses and stuff like that. There's not too much else in this image. Now the next one is at Atlas Western Tropical Freeport, a captain works on making repairs to her boat while her lieutenant buys some fresh fishing bait under the stony gaze of an imposing Discovery Zone monument. So there's a few things with this description actually. At a tropical Freeport, I'm pretty sure Freeports are just basically the towns in the game. On making repairs to her boat, so repairing your boat, we already knew you'd have to keep your boat repaired and have supplies and stuff like that. Well, her lieutenant buys some fresh fishing bait. So her lieutenant is going to this bait thing. Now there is a fish sign in the leaked trailer, so I'm assuming that these things, because there is a vendor, it looks like there is a vendor behind it, but it does seem that these bait signs and these like fish signs are actual vendors you can buy stuff with or at. So there will be vendors. Everything I've seen shows there 100% will be vendors, and a bunch of different vendors for different materials and stuff like that, and probably different vendors at different points in the map that have different specific like region materials. Now also it shows, or it says that under the stony gaze of an imposing Discovery Zone monument. So that is the big skull here. And they have said there's Discovery Zones, and what I'm thinking these are is they're either like just sections of the map that unlock on the map, which most likely will just happen going through stuff. They're either like a point on the map where you can see, like it'll have an emblem like other MMOs, stuff like that. It'll either be a fast travel point, which I almost guarantee there's not going to be fast travels in this game. Maybe there's going to be some type of like transport system, like maybe you get on a boat and you have to pay a certain amount, then they'll transfer you to that area after a certain amount of time, or you'll be on a boat that kind of like on WoW has a load screen so it doesn't take as long. Maybe there'll be something like that, but I'm assuming it unlocks a point on the map that you can see. You can mark it, you can tell people it's there, you can know the name of it and stuff like that. There's a few other things in this image. There is a parrot right here with, it looks to be a little hat or something on it, which we've already seen parrot on someone's shoulders, so it's probably a tame parrot that you can put on your shoulder. There is different chests here, completely different chests. There's cannons on the side, just some different aesthetic stuff. The vendor does look to be having a big fish here. Kind of looks like an anglerfish from that side. But then we see there's a town built up here, probably just the pre-built town. And in the back, it looks to be an elephant, which we've seen elephants in the trailers. Not close up, but in the background, it does seem there's elephants, which is pretty cool. They're hopefully not mammoths. They're probably built on the mammoths, like skeletal frame and stuff like that, but made to be an elephant, which most likely are tameable as well. And that's pretty much it for this image. It is a really cool image. This little island does look really cool, especially with the skull on it and the water coming down. I'm wondering if there's probably like hidden loot or something in that skull. But next, there is this image is just like a concept art piece. They actually said you can't ride cannons, but it does show a monkey, which is pretty cool on your shoulder. So next, here's the last two, but they both have the same, it's basically two sides of the battle. Deep within the eastern temperate region, an intense battle takes place as a company furiously defends their mountain fortress against a cavalry charge aided by mobile field artillery. So there is an eastern temperate region. So I'm assuming that's, as you can see in the pictures, it just seems to be more like kind of grasslands and stuff like that. Maybe what you think about, like, I don't know, like Norselands, or I don't know, something kind of like that is what kind of gives me the feel of this picture. Now, these pictures do have quite a bit in them. So first off, we do have the artillery being pulled by the horses, which we already knew about. These are completely remodeled horses. They're nothing like this in Ark, really. The horses do have saddlebags on them, so I'm assuming that since these horses have saddlebags on their saddles, that you can store stuff on these saddlebags to carry more. I don't know how the carrying is going to work in Ark, if it's just you can enter the horse's inventory and they have carry stuff too, or if now you're going to have the saddlebags on, which is what carries it, or if the saddlebags are extra carrying spots or something like that. Now it does show this really cool looking armor on these guys. Now he's shooting what's probably a blunderbuss, which probably with grape shot, I'd assume, which is an ammo type in this game. It is a big cannon, which looks really good. The armor and just the aesthetic and the graphics in this look really nice. Now there's a flag here. I can't actually tell if this person is carrying the flag on their horse or if it's sitting on the ground. I think it's sitting on the ground. But also something really big that this image does show is this player right here, probably player, is carrying a weapon on their back while they're on the cannon. Now this weapon does look cool in itself, but Ark, you can't like carry stuff on your back like that really. So I'm wondering if this is just when you're on like mounted things, if it carries something on your back, or if you have multiple weapons, if it'll carry other weapons on your back. Which that is a super cool feature that a lot of people actually want on Ark, and is honestly just a super cool feature, being able to carry weapons on your back and be able to see them. And that's pretty much it for this image, but there is basically two images for this one description, and this is the opposite side, which it seems they're fighting the people we're just looking at. Oh, and actually that is the same flag, it seems, so it is stuck in the ground. Now this shows this lady with different hair, so there most likely will be different hair coloring. That's most likely would have been in the game. The graphics again look really nice. The leather and like the basically the details, kind of think of the word, the details on these gloves look really nice, and the gloves themselves just look nice. This weapon here looks really cool. It seems to be some type of maybe lever action rifle, because if this seems to be a lever action rifle, maybe. But it looks really nice, and it looks really intricate, so maybe it's a higher like rarity of an item or something like that. It does seem really nice. It does have the straps on and everything. The scene looks really nice. There's someone coming up on a horse. Now there are some different things. So this person seems to have another rifle like this. This person seems to have a blunderbuss. Seeing on some barrels and some crates and stuff like that. There's some nice looking torches. But up here, I'm wondering if I can sharpen it. Okay, that actually was pretty terrible looking. Let me see here. Sharpen. That really doesn't help at all. But we're just zoomed in so much that it's pixelated, so we can't really see. But what this looks like is right here, this dude's clearly on some type of mounted weapon. And it looks to be just on a stand that's, you know, curved right here. But it looks to be a big barrel, and he's holding in the back. So it doesn't exactly look to be a cannon. But it also has these things at the bottom that look kind of like cylinders. Kind of like if you've ever seen a like 6-round grenade launcher in newer military games. It kind of looks like a cylinder, kind of like that, like a drum cylinder. So I don't know what this is. Maybe it shoots some type of like cannons, or maybe it has 6 cylinders for different type of ammo or something like that. Doesn't seem to be any type of machine gun or something. Maybe they're far enough to have like super early versions of mounted machine guns, but it doesn't seem to be. It's not an auto thing, which is really nice, because I don't think anyone wants to be having like auto turrets in this game with how it's set. But it does seem to be a new type of weaponry we have never seen. But that is also pretty much the end of all of the images we've been getting. The game's looking pretty nice. The images are looking really good. The graphics are looking pretty nice in my opinion. But anyway, subscribe if you want to see more just videos on games, mainly Atlas. Leave a comment down in the comments letting me know what you think about all the images. Let me know what you think about Atlas as a whole. Like the video if you like it, and thanks for watching.